This lecture we would like to devote to those intellectuals who create sensation in not only in political philosophy but also in social fields, also in legal field, and among them we would like to discuss first about Erich Fromm and his monumental and great works such as Escape from Freedom, Man for Himself, The Fear of Freedom, and also many such sensational books which created a storm in Western political philosophy, also its impact on society and also exclusively on legal field. So Eric Foreman formed exactly a Marxist humanist, and some also consider him as a neo-Freudian. But Fromm is neither a sociologist nor a psychologist. He was a bitter critic of modern civilization. He essentially a therapist, one who treats the society as an individual, diagnose its malady and suggest a cure, far more influenced by Marx than by Freud. Fromm's approach to social criticism is that of the psychoanalyst engaged in curing individual patients. In his escape from freedom, he treated modernization as the sole cause of the political and social maladies of 20th century in world. And according to him, in the Middle Ages, the individual enjoyed security rather than freedom, chained to his role in the social order. Whatever his abilities, he did not feel either isolated or abandoned. He worked according to the profession that was assigned to him by birth and heritage and did not have to worry about his future. In case of old age, he could fall back on his family or guilt for suffer. If he suffered from mental agony, he could always turn to his church for consolation. But due to renuncia, the very man that the concept of individuality developed, and with the value of initiative, self-assertion, and aggressiveness, also the pursuit of power and wealth developed in place of conformism, self subordination to the group. The Reformation further undermined the feeling of security of man in community, convinced by the great reformers of his wickedness and guilt. Man developed a hatred of himself, a sense of helplessness and alienation, and sought satisfaction in the outside world in acquiring property and trying to dominate over others. It was this desire to compete and excel over others which led to the building of the modern civilization with its vast industrial complexes and monolithic state power. So, can the helpless individual, lonely and isolated, do in the face of such mighty organizations? So, Eric Fromm has faith in the essential goodness of the fundamental human nature, but as he believes that it is being repressed by the existing social system. The goodness in man strives for release. Man desires a genuinely productive life but is crossed by the dead weight of society. Human nature craves for society and would like to be treated and to be related to it in love and not in submission or dominance. It is love for his fellow man and love in return from them which alone can give the individual a sense of identity with society, a sense of having roots in it. So, Erich Fromm believes that the state of near complete alienation has already been reached in the modern age, and man has been rendered so helpless that he hardly has any control today over the development of his own character, the social character in its own term is muddled by the mode of production. It is capitalism, conceived as a vast matrix which acts as a mold for shaping a particular kind of social character suited to its own requirements. Man under such a situation develops a kind of receptive or consumption oriented outlook. He begins to think himself as a thing which can be bought and sold in the marketplace. Under such a system, man finds it utterly impossible to fulfill the basic needs of his own nature. So, man develops a sense of frustration and alienation and becomes incapable even of revolting against the all powerful society. So, what then is the solution? So, Eric Fromm answers is that a new kind of social order must be created in which man can find his true nature without telling us how this can be done, which is the most crucial question. Eric Fromm proceeds to draw in fantastic colors a picture of the kind of society he would like to have. So, in his second most important book, The Sense Society, which was published in the year 1955, Holmes has tried to spell out the details of the good society of his vision. It must consist, first of all, of the same individuals Fromm's conception of a mentally healthy individual is that of the productive and the unalienated person, the person who relates himself to the world lovingly and who uses his reason to grasp reality objectively, who experiences himself as a unique individual entity and at the same time feels one with his fellow man, who is not subject to irrational authority and accepts willingly the rational authority of conscience and reason as it was visualized by Erich Fromm in his important second book, The Sun Society, which was published in 1955. Such individuals will constitute the Sun Society. Fromm's conception of a Sun Society is that of one in which every individual is treated as an end in himself, in which no man is an instrument of any other person's greed or exploitation. So, in that context, we found sense a form developed as a society which man is the center and in which all political and economic activities are subordinated to his growth and development. So, he expressed that a society of this nature, instead of smothering man's individuality and creating a sense of alienation in him, fosters creativity, stimulates the unfolding of reason, and encourages its members to live in relationship of warmth and respect for their fellow man. So also it is mentioned by Erich Fromm in his another most important work, that is the art of loving, and that was published in 1956. So Fromm calls such a society communitarian, socialist, and in drawing of its detail, he has not only incorporated the ideas of the Ethiopian movement of the early 19th century, but also the maximum number of advantages of the 20th century industrialization. At the economic level, it will be the perfect blending of centralization and decentralization. So Eric Fromm is not interested in workers assuming ownership of the means of production. He attaches far more importance to their participation in management and in a radical change in their work situation. He stands for a democratization of trade unions and the organization of workers in small groups in which members may be able to come into warm and intimate personal contact with each other. And these ideas of Eric Fromm in somehow borrowed from the ideologies of the Ethiopian socialists and the Guild socialists and the Fabians of England. So, on the political and social level, Reform believed that in the division of society into small units of about 500 groups, each unit carrying on its responsibility at town meetings and engaging itself in frequent discussion about the political issues. Similar groups could be organized on a vocational basis as social and recreational units. The members of which could sing together, work together, dance together, admire together, bringing into existence a real primitive village where people spend their time in occasional feast and share common artistic activities. So, Eric Fromm would not mind if people belonging to these small communities were not literate. He would regard members of such groups as more advanced culturally and more healthy mentally than our educated newspaper reading, radio listening culture. And this particular views of Erich Fromm are found in his second most important book, that is the Sense Society. His object is visualizing such a society is not to glorify irrationality or justify ignorance or superstition, but to make a frontal attack on the inhuman character of modern civilization and to find a remedy for the alienation of individual. So the main problem, however, is how to bring about this kind of society. As Fromm does not believe in the individual subordination, subordinating himself to the monsters of society and to the state, he wants to change the society and he believes that unless the society is changed, the individual will not be able to fulfill his real nature and play his true role in society. But unfortunately, Fromm does not provide us any theory of social change. He goes back in his romantic imagination to the guild socialist line of thinking and believes that the economic system could be reorganized around production for use rather than production for profit. He was also believing in expanding the participation of workers in industry so that workers employ capital rather than capital employing workers. So his solution thus is economic and not political. In political matters, he was talking about decentralization of government and the restoration of town meetings. But how will that be brought about? So Fromm had not suggested any method or technique for bringing about this change. In general, one might say that while his diagnosis of the malady from which the industrial society of today is suffering by and large correct, the treatment suggested by him is thoroughly inadequate. He did not at all make it clear as to how the psyche of the laborer will change simply because he was given a voice in management. Also, he did not seem to be aware of what exactly developing the situation where new productive system is being installed new ruling class would unavoidably emerge and take up the control in its own hand. With all his woolly speculation of an unrealistic character, Fromm did not tell us how a change in the mode of production would alter the individual's capacity to absorb change and adapt himself to insecurity, which, according to Fromm, it may not be possible to eliminate completely. So, Erich Fromm's statement that man must learn to live with insecurity, not translate it, is to try to be convicting as it was mentioned by Milovan Dijals in his masterpiece work, The New Class. So also, why Professor Mahan that a reform does not really indicate the way in which social analysis might proceed. Home had failed, had faith went a program, and actually he had no argument as it was expressed by Robert Nesbitt in his master work, that is the quest for community. So, Erich Fromm is considered as a social rebel against the development and modernization of the 20th century.